Hey everyone, welcome back to Pt.3 Sparks. Today we are going to be creating a twin bed that will be converting into a mimic. And it will probably be a basic start of a bed, so you could probably easily cut off part of it and turn it into a queen size bed. But really quickly, before I jump into how to model that, I wanted to make a note if you guys haven't been following me on Instagram. Basically, the end tables that we did last week, for the one, we did this fancier type, and when I went to print it, I realized the legs were pretty skinny. So what I did was, I don't know, quadrupled the size of them. So if you did follow me on Instagram, I kind of, touched on it for a second, but this is what the model looks like now, that rather than before when I showed you guys how to. I just grabbed the leg, sized it way up, and moved it back in to match with the table alignment. So super easy. Not really anything crazy. So if you already modeled this, you can easily size up the leg. Just cut it into quarters again. Anyway, besides that, so like I said, I've posted my prints up on Instagram. I haven't been doing it on YouTube as much just because I don't see posting a whole video on it was a bit much for me. So just if you want to see my prints, be sure to follow my Instagram, which I believe is in the description below. So for the bed this week though, really quick, want to make sure that you guys go over to your scenes tab, make sure you change the unit to whatever you want to work in. I'll be working in inches, and then I changed the scale of my grid floor to 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to hop into top view, and we're going to hit Shift A, mesh, and I'm going to start with a cube. Obviously this cube is way too big. So for the dimensions, I'm probably going to start with, let's do 1/2 inch for the height, and for the Y we're going to do about 2 inches, and for the X we're going to do about 1 inch, and we'll probably change that to make it a little bit smaller, but I don't want it to be exact. I'm just going to size it to where I feel is good, and I'm going to go back into front view. Now 1/2 inch is still a little bit too big. What I'm going for, this is going to be the actual bed part itself, so I think that's a little too thick. I think instead of 1/2 inch, I'm just gonna go ahead and do 1/4 of an inch. That didn't work. There we go, 1/4 of an inch. I think that's better. Probably could be thinner, but since we're gonna be adding the bed sheets on the side and we will make sure that it's printable, I'm gonna leave it as 1/4 of an inch because we know that'll be plenty thick enough to be stable and not break, hopefully. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and tab into edit mode, go back into top view, and I'm gonna go ahead and hide my menu, just hit N, do Control R so we can add our loops, and scroll up so we get 2 loops, and just click it and then right click it to make them just go in the center. We're gonna hit S and then Y so we can size them up to go maybe about there. And we're going to do the same thing, scroll up, and then we'll just scale along the x-axis until you get what looks to be a square. Obviously, probably not going to be perfect, but as close as you can to making these look square. I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything, deselect everything by hitting A. I'm going to hit Z to go into wireframe view and do B for border select. Actually, no. To do it properly, let's go ahead and go to face select. We're going to select each of these corner faces. Go into top view, hit E to extrude, and just hit escape so they stay there. And we're going to size them, but they don't really size in the right direction that we want. So we're going to change this to individual origins. It still won't be quite right, but it'll be closer. So we're going to hit S and then Shift Z because we don't want them going in the Z axis direction. And we're going to size them up. So maybe there. Sure. There looks good. I'm going to switch to edge select. And I'm going to grab these 2 and these 2. Go into top view. Switch back to medium point, and then we're going to do SX and size them to make them straight. There we go. And we'll do the same thing to these 4 edges. Top view, S, and then Y. Whoop, way too far. Perfect. So now what we can do is keep our face select on, and we're going to grab these faces, all of these, and then on the bottom, so we're going to do Control-7 to look at the bottom and grab these same ones, and we're also going to grab these, which I forgot to grab something on the top, so I'll grab that in just a second. So for the headboard, I want it to go up as well, so we're going to grab this one. This is where our headboard's going to be, and the reason we grabbed the wrong one of these ones is because the sheets will be coming down a little bit, so I want to go ahead and make sure that those are come down, be extruded with the legs. So I'm going to go 1 into front view. We're just going to hit E to extrude, and then we'll just do S and Z and pull them up. So it's about 1/2 inch. Obviously I will extrude it more, but for the sheets I don't want them going to be too crazy, so I'll just leave it there. So I can go ahead and deselect these faces on the bottom, but leave the other ones selected. And then I want the headboard to be taller, but I'm going to extrude that separately. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect that face. So go back into front view, hit E to extrude, and then escape, and then we'll size along the Z axis again. And actually, I was also going to deselect these ones at the bottom, because I'm not really making a whole like really tall 4-poster bed. I just want these to be up a little bit. So I'll deselect those and then size. Oop. Along the Z. Maybe like that. Deselect those and bring those down. How tall is that? That is about 3/4 of an inch tall with the posts, a little bit between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. I think that's a good height. I think that'll work fine. Could be a little lower. I might go ahead and do vertex select mode, Z for wireframe view. Grab all of these, except for those. You go ahead and drag that down a little bit. Want to be more about 1/2 inch tall, maybe a little taller. I think that'll work. Cool. So like I said, I wanted to extrude the top one separately, so we're going to hit E to extrude. And the reason we're doing it separately is so we can size it in to make it more of a rounded headboard, to be a little bit fancier, you know. You do Control R, pull that one up. And we can go ahead and go to our modifiers tab and do Subdivision Surface. Cool, that'll look actually really nice, but I'm not going to worry about sharpening everything right now. I'm just going to go ahead and hide it so I can focus on the basic mesh of this. Okay, but it's there for when we're ready. So now that we have the basics done, I want to go ahead and add in some wrinkles and stuff in the sheets, make it look a little bit like it's actually separate from the wood posts, and maybe even add a pillow. So there'll be a bump up here and everything like that. And then what we'll do is we'll probably duplicate it, and then we can add on the mouth for the mimic version. So now that we have this base built out, let's go ahead and add in a bunch of loops this way and maybe pull them down. And we're going to do 2 here and 2 there. And then I also want to frame out the pillow section. So we'll do Control R, whoops, S and Y. Maybe back there will probably look good. And then this can be like the hem of the sheet right below it. Perfect. Okay. So actually I will go ahead and put the subdivision surface on so we can see it. What we'll do is basically sharpen up all of these edges. And if you wanted, you could certainly cut this in half lengthwise and have a mirror modifier on. But since I'm doing the organic stuff with the sheets, I wanted it to be different on each side. So I'm gonna leave the mirror modifier off, but if you want to make it easier on yourself and have it mirrored because you don't care, that's totally fine. You can simply add a mirror modifier and probably save some time that way. So just a heads up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sharpening these edges. I might speed through this part real quick, but basically just grabbing the edges with Alt right click and then Shift E to sharpen if you haven't done that before. And then you can always tab out to check how it looks. Now that we have everything sharpened, and of course you could sharpen this one as well if you're interested, which actually I think I'll go ahead and sharpen that one too. All right, but now that that's all done, we can go ahead and start adding in the wrinkles and everything for the sheets. And I think I want to start by adding the pillow first. So what I'm going to do is just go into face select, and I'm going to select these 4 faces. I'm going to go into front view, hit E to extrude, and I'm just going to pull that up to about there. With 3D printing, obviously, like I've said many times before, you want it to be kind of dramatic anyway. But the problem with this is that pillows obviously don't melt into the bed. We want it to be kind of the reverse of this and go inward. So what we'll do is go back to vertex select mode and grab this circle here, and we're gonna size that in, and we're gonna sharpen it. And then what we'll do is do Control R, pull that down, and size that out. See, more like that. And we'll do Control R, size that out again. Control R here. So that way, grab these 4 corners and size them. And I'm gonna grab these ones, size that, maybe bring these down, pull that one down, maybe these 2 up, size them in and pull them down a little bit. I get more something like that. I think looks kind of cute. It's a little high. I think I'll bring the whole thing down. Make sure everything's deselected. Go into wireframe view. B for border select. To grab that top half. And I'm just going to bring that all down. I think that's better. A little bit flatter. I think that's a good shape. Cool. And obviously you can make it more pressed against the bed if you wanted to. Just keep dragging it down so you're happy. I'm just going to leave it about there for myself. Now, for the sheets, I'm going to go ahead and add another loop here and just pull that way. And we're going to make sure it's completely straight. So we're going to hit S and then Y. Make sure it's nice and flat. Perfect. And I want The reason I'm adding this loop here is I'm actually going to extrude this part out. This will be like the part that gets folded over, the sheet part that gets folded back, gives you that nice hem there. So I'll just go ahead and grab this strip. Whoop, there we go, that strip. And I don't need the bottom ones though. So what I can do is just do B for border select, hold shift and deselect those. And make sure you unselect that one as well. So we're just extruding those. So I'm going to hit E to extrude and just hit escape. And we're going to size, but we don't want to size in the Y direction. So we're going to hit Shift Y to just bring it up. And again, it's going to be a little bit dramatic. Ooh, maybe not that dramatic though. It's good on the Z, but really dramatic on the X. So we're going to hit S and then X to bring that in. And then I'm going to go back to vertex select mode and do Shift E there. And do Shift E here. Okay. And it's actually a little bit too dramatic on the bottom as well. So I'm going to grab these two faces and pull them back up because I don't really want that to stick it down that far because it should still be somewhat the same length. So I'll pull that back. Probably about there, looks good. And honestly, I might bring these in a little bit more. Probably like that. There we go. Okay. So just dramatic enough, hopefully. We'll see what happens when I print it out. Okay. So for the wrinkles in the sheets and stuff to make it have a little bit more character, I'm gonna go ahead and save this actually because I like it where it is. I'm actually really happy with the bed so far, so I'm actually gonna duplicate it in case if I don't. Oh, here we go. Forgot to rename it. So we'll do that as the original and just go ahead and hide it. And for this one, twin bed with sheets, so it's kind of, you know, clear what exactly just went ahead and changed. So tab back into edit mode now that we have our duplicate. We can go ahead and feel free to mess up and not worry about having to, you know, go back and not having enough Control Z moments to take care of that. So the way I want to start is we already have our basis here. And we have a good amount going the lengthwise too. What I'm gonna do is just go into top view and we're gonna do Control R and bring them in to the ones that we already have, and I'm gonna do this pretty loose. Don't worry about getting them in the same spaces. I'm just going to move them to where I feel comfortable, and I think that looks good. So basically what I want to do is go down here and we're gonna do the proportional editing. We're gonna do connected to make it less harsh. If you haven't seen this before, it's always disabled, so you're only moving like the actual vertex itself. When you turn on proportional editing, it will actually move things, other vertices with it. So obviously it goes by this circle, so you can use the scroll wheel to make it stronger and weaker depending on how you need it. So I find it very handy when I'm trying to get a little bit more, like having it more like sculpt mode almost. Not really, but close. Okay, anyway, let's get back into this. So I want to go ahead and raise this up, but actually I think I'll wait for proportional editing. Actually no, okay. But we don't want the underside to be selected. So what we could go ahead and do is either keep deselecting it as we go along, which you're free to do. I'm gonna take a little bit of a different approach and go into front view, and I'm gonna go ahead and select all these vertices that I don't want to change, which is a little bit more than I need to select, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit H, and that will hide them. You'll notice that they're still there, like the it has it grayed out and everything like that. So when you tab out of edit mode, you can still see it. But when you tab in and you're not in wireframe view, you can't see it. So that way you can't touch it. They won't move. They'll stay exactly the same, which is what we want. So we'll go ahead and just hide them. And then once you're done, you'll just hit Control H. Whoops, no you won't. You'll hit Alt H and it will unhide. So I'm going to go ahead and hit H to hide those vertices so we don't change them at all. Oh, but I want these. So let me actually... didn't mean to select these ones. We'll make sure we still have this front here. Okay, so now I can hit H and we just have our sheets and everything to change. Perfect. Okay. So what we can go ahead and do is just do the Alt, right click like we normally do, pull it up however we want, and we don't have to worry about the underside changing or going crazy because we're only selecting this section and we don't have to deselect every time. It's much, much easier. I'm gonna go ahead and disable proportional editing because I turned that on a little bit too early. I got excited, sorry. So go ahead, I'm gonna deselect these. Actually, you know what? I think instead of moving them, I'm just gonna size them. So S, and then pull it up. To start getting that wrinkle in. Do these ones too. Oh, S. Oh, but they're gonna start doing that way. All right, so we'll do S. And S. Ooh. Okay. So now I'll go ahead and add our proportional editing on, because obviously I don't want these weird, super precise wrinkles going on in our bed sheets. I want them to be moving along. It's gonna move this up. There. Maybe pull that down a little bit. And this part you can just have a lot of fun with if you want. You know, no pressure. Probably gonna bring down the bed to make it look like it's sunken in a little bit, since it is an inn. You know, nothing, it's not a fancy inn where everything's well taken care of. It's just, you know, super mid-grade, like nothing fancy at all. And actually I'm gonna grab this whole loop and pull that down. Maybe start rotating it just a tad. Nothing to get the main structure of the bed itself out of whack. But and obviously you don't have to add these wrinkles at all if you don't want to. I just thought it'd be a cool detail to add in. They're a little bit too skinny, however, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab, turn this off, disable, because with our subdivision surface modifier on, I think it should smooth them out nice enough. More like this. There we go. That's looking better. Let me pull this up some more. That one down. This one down a lot. I think I might pull this one up a lot. Yeah, that's looking much better actually. And grab proportional editing back. Grab this. Ooh, but that last one moved our post a little bit, so I'll undo that. You just have to make sure that when you do have proportional editing on, you're only editing what you really want. Like that. All right, nice lumpy bed. Cool, I like it. Nothing crazy, but looking good. So you guys can go crazy with that, add more detail if you're interested. You'll see our bottom is nice and clean, so we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Perfect, exactly what we want. So again, I'm gonna hit Shift D to duplicate it, hide the one here, and then what we're gonna do is change this to mimic. And you could certainly, I'm gonna hit Alt H to unhide our stuff, start working with these vertices that you have here to add the mouth on, but I want to cheat a little bit and just do the mouth separately and then Boolean them together, so that way I don't have to worry about messing up what I already have. It's definitely not the best practice. You should always try to work with what you have, but we're, you know, talking about quick, easy 3D prints that you can get out or start printing really quickly. And I just realized that I missed this edge over here to sharpen, so let me fix that. Oh my, I missed a bit. There we go. That's better. Okay, what I was saying is, we're just looking for quick, easy models to whip out to start with our 3D printing process. I missed more edges. My goodness. Okay, but you get the point. Let's go ahead and do Shift. No, why did I do that? Too excited now. Shift A, and I'm going to actually start with a plane and hide the bed. For our mimic mouth. Gonna go into top view and we'll just start here and then we can go from there. For the mouth, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys a picture of what I'm drawing my inspiration from. It's probably on the internet a lot already anyway. It's the only mimic bed I could find, but I'm gonna do my own version of it. Basically, here's what I'm drawing my inspiration from. I didn't like how these ones popped out from the side. I was just going to, well, you'll see in a second, extend the posts a little bit and make them kind of wavy and have the mouth pop out kind of in the same placement. But yeah, this is basically the type of mouth we're going for. And we're not going to be doing these extensions. Obviously, of course, if you wanted them, you could easily model that and Boolean that onto your bed as well. But I'm not going to be doing those because I don't know, I feel like they kind of pop out of nowhere. I'd rather have the actual posts of the bed come up and just be like almost like big arms coming out and be all wavy. That would grab you and pull you to this main mouth here rather than these things having their own faces. So this is what I'm drawing my inspiration from. So for the mouth, if you've ever done human modeling before, this is kind of similar technique that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to tab into edit mode and just pull this over and try to line it up with the Y axis. We're going to go ahead and add our mirror modifier on, make sure clipping is on. There we go, and have that there. And we only need the X axis checked. So obviously this is rather large, so we're going to size this down a bit. Oh, and we can turn off our proportional editing. And I'm just going to put that there for now. I'm going to go into wireframe view. Actually, wireframe view doesn't really matter since it's flat. We'll make sure everything's deselected. And I'm going to pull this down and then I'm going to rotate it. And B. We're gonna hit E to extrude, pull this out, pull it down a little bit, okay, rotate it, E to extrude, pull it out and down, size it in, rotate a little bit more, whoops, E to extrude, pull it out, size it more. Now, of course, the shape of the mouth is going to depend on what expression you're going for. The one that I showed you had more of a smile, so you would probably do more of this like mustache shape and then pull it up and then around for the bottom lip, which we can certainly do. I'm just gonna build out the basic shape of the mouth first and then kind of reshape it into the expression that I want from there. So E to extrude, rotate it, E to extrude, that, okay, pull it down, size it up, and on the bottom lip, I am trying to make sure that these kind of are the same poly count here. I don't know if that really matters, but that's just what I'm going for. And then E to extrude, just make that meet, size that up. And we have our generic mouth shape, which I like. I think that looks pretty good. Easy way to give it some dimension, we're gonna go ahead and add a center loop here. Pull that up. And we're actually going to rotate it. And we'll go ahead and just add our subdivision surface modifier now. Clearly we're going to want one. Cool. I'm going to add another loop. Add another loop here. And then just size that out. Pull this one back in a little bit though. Okay. From here, obviously you can make this into more of a smile if you're interested. So you probably just bring this, grab it up, grab these as well. And actually, I'd like this to be a little bit more open. Maybe do like that. I think that's probably pretty good. Okay, so to continue on from the lips themselves, I want to add in the gums, and then I kind of like a backdrop, like a, you know, kind of like the back of the mouth, but we'll probably just paint it black similarly to how the version I showed you. So first, let me go ahead and just hit E to extrude for this, and we're just gonna pull that down because this part will probably be sinking into the bed. And then this part, we'll grab the inner loop here. We're gonna hit E to extrude and size that in. Make sure it goes more in this way. But, oh, actually, you know what? Before we size that in, we will just go ahead and pull that down just a little bit, and then we'll hit E to extrude and size that in from there, because here we'll grab this loop and we'll do Shift E, because we want to make sure it looks separate, like the gums aren't connected to the lips right here. Yeah. Try to make sure like this. Kind of shape out your gums a little bit. Obviously, I don't want it super perfect. But for here, for the corner of the mouth, you don't really see gums going on the corner of the mouth. So what we'll do is grab these two, not those two. There we go. And do Shift E. I didn't pull it in as much as I was hoping. Maybe here. No, but we can leave that because I do like that bit of a crease more. There we go. Let's go ahead and pull this back a lot. And then we'll have to do Shift E to get that basically out of the picture. Okay. And then that and that. Good enough. E to extrude. Pull that down a good bit. Maybe like there. And we're just going to E to extrude, size that in. And this is the part that we're just kind of doing for the back of the mouth. So we're just going to Alt M at center. Oof, that looks really messy. I don't like that. I'm just going to F for face, I think would look better. Okay, so now that we have that in place, actually sharpen that edge as well. Cool. Sorry, just fixing little things. Probably shouldn't matter, but I care. There we go. I think that looks better. Okay. Anyway, mesh. We are going to go ahead and do, let's just do a cube, I think would be best. Obviously, size it way down. You could use a cylinder, but I think I'd rather start with a cube, so that way it goes a little bit easier. I'm gonna tab into edit mode and just keep sizing it down until I get that size I want. And right now, I'm just kind of having fun with it, not doing anything crazy, but starting to like this shape. Obviously, we're going to add our Subdivision Surface modifier. And I might go ahead and add one this way as well. Yeah, I like that shape. Obviously, it's really too small now. We will want to fix our origin because when we size it, it's sizing really weird. So what we'll want to do is do geometry. Actually, we'll go ahead and do origin to geometry instead and then size it up. Maybe like that. Looks good. And then what we'll do is origin to 3D cursor. And we'll do our mirror modifier. So that way they're on each side. go ahead and tab into edit mode. We're gonna select everything with A, Shift D, maybe size it down a little bit, maybe rotate it. Don't hit A to extrude like I just did. You're gonna do Shift D instead, size it down. Maybe just size it along the y-axis instead. Make it look a little different. Shift D. Could leave this one the same size if you want. And maybe even this one. So select everything, make sure you pull them into the gums themselves. And what you could even do is when you right click, just hit L so it selects all the linked ones. Push them in more as you go. Because what I forgot to do with the lips themselves was kind of round them out so they're not just flat. So I'm going to go ahead and tab into that. We are going to do connected for our proportional editing. Just go ahead and select this center here, and I'm just going to pull that up and scroll this way up. Just give it maybe more like that. Looks better than being completely flat. Yeah, I like that. Tab back out of edit mode. We're gonna grab our teeth, pull them up. Get your top teeth sunken in nice, like that. And then worry about the rest. So grab this one, sink it in a little more, right click L, sink it in, just like so. And actually, I'm gonna size them all up. Along the x-axis. And I'll also do individual origins so they stop moving. Maybe more like that. Now, what I also want to do is rotate them this way so they fit, whoops, a little bit better. Rotate. All right, looks good. So now go ahead and select everything. We're gonna hit Shift D, rotate 180 degrees, and pull them down. Now, since they're the bottom teeth, I'm actually gonna go ahead and delete this last one. And then we'll rotate them more like this, pull them out, and size them down. And then obviously they're all rotated inward, so we'll want to go ahead and fix that. All right. Thinking the teeth look pretty good. So what we'll go ahead and try to do is we'll duplicate our mimic mouth in case if we want to change it later on. We'll apply these. Again, duplicate our teeth. Have this one selected. Apply your modifiers. Select the mouth. Add a Boolean modifier. We're going to hit union. Select the teeth. Hit apply. Hide the teeth. Make sure everything connected properly. Which they did. They connected really well. Perfect. Now we can unhide our bed, which a little bit smaller than the mouth, so we'll have to resize the mouth to fit it. I'm gonna rotate it. Maybe more like that. Still a little bit too wide, so maybe size it in a little bit more. Think like that looks good. And then what we'll do is go in here. We're gonna hit E to extrude on this. Pull it in and down to make sure it sinks into every part. More like that. Looks good. Apply our Subdivision Surface modifier on the bed. Add the Boolean modifier here. Union. Mimic mouth. Apply. Hide it. And make sure it applied properly, which it did. Nothing extra on the inside. Made a nice seam. Perfect. So we have our bed, but also, like I said before, which I should have done before I added the Subdivision Surface modifier. So let's actually back out real quick since we know it applied properly. So we got our Boolean back and there's our sub back. Okay, so let's tab into edit mode. And basically what I was trying to explain earlier was I wanted to extrude these up and make them kind of crazy looking. So basically these, instead of being monster faces and mouths themselves, I wanted them to just look more like arms that would come out and grab your character. So what I'm gonna do is make them kind of wavy and stuff. So I'm gonna add a couple loops to each. Add on our proportional editing and kind of move them about, but I'm gonna need it smaller. Say more like this. Grab this one. Whoops. Rotate it to make it look kind of weird. Rotate this one. Grab this one. Yeah, more like that. Make it look kind of funky. Which actually, these parts should be softened a little bit. Make it look like it's really extruding and becoming kind of more organic, like it's more elastic. So kind of still have it somewhat sharpened. You can tell it's still a little bit bolder black there, but like it's coming undone. Cool. So I like that better. That'll be interesting trying to print. Probably gonna need a little bit of scaffolding for that, but you know, should be fun. Okay, so now we can go ahead and apply our modifier, do our Boolean modifier, make sure that the mouth, oh, it does. Okay, cool, perfect. Just want to make sure Nothing crazy happened. Union, mimic mouth, apply, hide it, tab in, make sure it's still connected. Perfect. Awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let's go ahead and jump to having them both in the actual room itself. So obviously you probably wouldn't have both of them right next to each other unless you wanted to. As a, you know, PC comes walking in the room and sees that, probably gonna freak out. But basically, I just want to show how they both looked in the room. I think they both look pretty good. If you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comments below. And then, of course, don't forget to give me any requests or anything like that. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.